Good day and welcome to Mayo King's TV News. I am Tiniela Emanuela. Now to begin the news, here are some of our top stories. Federal government orders Varsities to expel students linked to kidnapping. On business, Delta unveils $100 million investment fund as Okonjo-Iweala backs state as Nigeria's next industrial hub. On sports, South Africa defeats Burkina Faso and sets up quarter-final clash with Morocco. Now, the news in full. Delta State Governor Right Honorable Sheriff Oboiwori has declared that the state can no longer rely solely on oil revenue. Speaking at the close of the second day of the Delta State Economic and Investment Summit 2026 in Asaba, he urged local and foreign investors to take advantage of the vast opportunities across critical sectors of the economy as his administration intensifies efforts to diversify the state's economic base. The governor said deliberations at the summit had reinforced the urgent need to expand investments beyond the oil and gas sector to ensure sustainable economic growth, job creation, and shared prosperity. He said the business sessions on agriculture and livestock development, the energy ecosystem, the blue economy and transport infrastructure, solid minerals and mining, the digital economy and innovation, as well as the legal framework for investment, had demonstrated that Delta State possesses enormous untapped investment opportunities capable of transforming its economy. Delta State government has announced plans to establish an independent electricity market through the creation of Delta State Electricity Regulatory Commission and Delta State Rural Electrification Agency before the end of the year. The announcement was made during a panel session at the Delta State Economic and Investment Summit, where government officials, regulators, and private sector stakeholders outlined the state's roadmap for transforming the electricity sector and attracting new investments. The participants said the planned reforms were designed to strengthen the state's electricity regulatory framework, expand access to power, particularly in rural communities, and create an enabling environment for private sector participation. The initiative is also expected to improve electricity supply, stimulate economic growth, and position Delta State as a leading destination for energy investment in Nigeria. The federal government has directed vice-chancellors, rectors, and provosts of tertiary institutions to dismiss, after due investigation, any student involved in kidnapping or related crimes. The Minister of Education, Tunji Alausa, gave the directive during a meeting with the Pro-Chancellor, Governing Council, and management of the Federal University of Lafia yesterday. He said Nigerian universities, polytechnics, and colleges of education were largely safe, but recent isolated cases involving students outside campuses show the need for stronger intelligence gathering and closer collaboration with security agencies, including the Department of State Services (DSS). Alausa reiterated that no public institution should negotiate with or pay ransom to kidnappers, warning that doing so would encourage criminality. He directed governing councils to establish internal intelligence mechanisms, saying he had met the Minister of Defense, General Christopher Musa, to strengthen the Safe Schools initiative nationwide. Now on the business news. In a bid to attract investors, Delta State government yesterday announced a $100 million, equating 136.5 billion naira, viability gap fund to de-risk investment in the state. Governor Sheriff Oboiwori unveiled the fund at the state's ongoing Economic and Investment Summit in Asaba. Oboiwori said the move was a practical demonstration of the government's commitment to ensuring that agreements reached at the summit were executed without delay. Speaking at the summit, Vice President Kashim Shettima welcomed what he termed the healthy cycle of competition among the federating units, saying it is necessary for the country's economic development. Shettima attributed the current economic drive by the states to the President Bola Tinubu reform policies. Also, in a keynote address, Director General of World Trade Organization (WTO), Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, said Delta State had the potential to become Nigeria's next great industrial hub, standing alongside Lagos, Kano, and Port Harcourt as an engine of the national economy. Finally, in the world of sports, South Africa have booked their place in the Women's Africa Cup of Nations (WAFCON) quarterfinals after beating Burkina Faso 1-0 in Casablanca on Tuesday, courtesy of a Tembi Gatlana winner. The win means South Africa will take on host Morocco in the quarterfinals. The last time the two teams clashed in a competition was in the final in 2022, which South Africa won 2-1. Now they have clinched their first win of the tournament and progressed in second place behind Ivory Coast. The four semi-finalists at this year's WAFCON will automatically advance to the 2027 FIFA Women's World Cup in Brazil. After internal playoffs, two losing quarter-finalists will play in the Inter-Confederation playoffs. Now to end the news recap on our headlines. Federal government orders Varsities to expel students linked to kidnapping. On business, Delta unveils $100 million investment fund as Okonjo-Iweala backs state as Nigeria's next industrial hub. On sports, South Africa defeat Burkina Faso and set up quarter-final clash with Morocco. That ends the news from Mayor Kings TV as read and edited by Tunji Alausa. Thanks for watching.